Hi, this is Chris, Video Game Dust Sleeves, and you're listening to the VGDS podcast with Bandana Gamer,
The one and only.
Bone06,
Double B hype.
DanCavDragon,
Hello.
and guest gamers, That Little Podcast,
How's it going, folks?
and Bargain Bin Hobo.
Yeah.
Really quick, like, are we gonna like just even touch the fact that like Dan Cav came on like a British gentleman?
I think he is the gentleman out of the group.
Probably.
Well, top of the evening to you, gents.
On that note, Slay It or Leave It. First title, Fallout 4 for PlayStation 4. That level, Slay It or Leave It.
Yep, totally. Especially if it was like 3D popped.
Bandana.
That's a fine game. I've never been able to get into the like Bethesda open world stuff, so I'm gonna leave it. But I recognize and respect that it's a good game for a lot of people.
So that's an honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Bones.
I'm gonna go with probably not. My collecting and sleeving really hasn't evolved in the PlayStation 4, so yeah, now I'll pass.
Bargain bin.
Sleeve the game, but not that console. I do not sleeve discs. If it was on a cartridge, hell yeah. Put it on the Switch and then we'll sleeve it.
And Dan.
Yeah, I would leave it only because it's a pretty recent game and not that nostalgic for me yet.
Next title, Half-Life for PlayStation 2. Bandana.
Out of respect for those who claim the PC Master Race, I recognize that is probably a gimped version of Half-Life, and I'm just gonna say leave it, man, because like no one knows Half-Life on a console.
Bargain bin.
I'm going to again leave it, but just because it's a disc. But I would sleeve the game otherwise.
Dan Cav.
For me, this was my entry to Half-Life because I didn't have a good PC at the time, so I would sleeve it just for that.
Bones.
Well, I wish the previous owner would have had it sleeve because mine's kind of sun faded, the copy that I have. So I'm gonna go with sleeve it just because mine's sun faded.
Good. That level. Good way to protect the game farther is by sleeving it, right?
Yeah, I wish it would have been there in the first place.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
So, I mean, I'm a big fan of the series. I mean, only since there's like only two official games and everything else is just like a side story. I played this on PC. This was also my first first person shooter game, and I prefer this over Halo, hands down. But yeah, I would sleeve it. But I would give him a crowbar.
Next title, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Legendary Edition for PlayStation 3. Bandana.
I'm not gonna sleeve any version of Skyrim because if you sleeve one, you have to sleeve them all, and I do not have enough money to sleeve every version of that game.
Bones.
For me, I don't see the point in sleeving it.
That level.
Nope.
Dan Cav.
Yeah, I'll pass on this one.
And Bargain bin.
As before, sleeve the game, but not that version of it. Sleeve if they put it on a cartridge, hell yeah.
It's on Switch.
But then sleeve the Switch version. The PS3 version has a case. What's even the point?
Oh, you think you're better than people who sleeve DVD style games? I mean, is that what you're saying?
No, I just don't think we should sleeve discs. I don't really understand what you're so mad about.
That's what, all I'm hearing is you are making some real strong opinions already.
Yes, because that is the point of a podcast. What's your point?
And we're making it really personal right out the gate. I mean, I can't believe you just said that about my mother. Okay.
No, what it said was your mother was very
Anybody at
lady.
JT, all right.
All right, last title. Minecraft PS4 Edition. Bargain bin.
Same as before. Second verse, same as the first. I will sleeve the game. Actually, no, I won't even sleeve this one. I don't like Minecraft. Screw that noise. Forget it. I'm not leaving it. Nope.
Damn.
Can't make me.
Me? Nah, I wouldn't sleeve this one either.
That level.
I mean, I could see a cool like 3D pop sleeve where it's like actually like the Minecraft blocks and stuff, but I wouldn't.
Bones.
That game is bollocks. Fuck that. No.
And Bandana.
I'm just going to be different and out of respect for the game, and especially out of respect for like younger gamers and the fact that it brought younger people to the medium. I'm going to say yeah. But I mean, I'm not super. I can't get into it myself, but I respect what it did for the industry.
Yeah.
And then a sleevey one for the team.
Well, it is a cheaper way to collect Legos, right? You can build
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good way to learn how to code. I mean, to be fair, I
Mm-hmm.
did not learn a lot from Street Fighter,
No.
I learned that I suck at Street Fighter, and that's about it.
other than like racial stereotypes want to beat each other up. Oh,
That's any fighting game, though.
So all these sleeve or leave it's have something in common.
they're on the PlayStation.
No.
They're PC based.
No.
They can be modded.
Yes.
Ah,
Every single one of these games can be modded in some
Yep.
sort of fashion. That's the reason why we picked this one, because of our topic, which was brought to you by Bargain Bin, yet again.
You're welcome.
Which will tell you what that is soon as we go through these couple more segments. Alright, guess that box art. All I hear is crickets.
I'm
It
gonna
looks-
I don't
know.
I'm gonna say the very wrong answer. Star Wars 5 Battle of the Five Armies.
No. I'll give you a console. That'll help narrow it down. Atari 2600.
I know it. I know this one.
I knew you would as soon as I said it. Anybody else have a guess before Dan says the answer?
Nope.
No.
Go ahead, Dan.
It's asteroids, right?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Pretty
Oh.
straightforward.
Yeah, it is.
Cover.
Completely.
Ship blasting asteroids.
Yep. All right, next one.
I think that's Bomberman 64 Part 2, right?
Just Bomberman 64.
Let me just make sure I got the right. Yeah, yep. It's Bomberman 64. You got it.
Awesome.
All right. Bones.
Well, would you look at that? We got the dust sleeve of the month, and it is our one and only Bandana Gamers. Awesome. I don't think I've actually seen that one.
That's because it's new.
It's really
You slick little devil, you.
good.
Definitely really impressive. I like that.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good job, brother. Good job. So if anybody likes this, contact Chris, and he can definitely accommodate. But I think that's pretty hot, man. That's nice.
I would put pirates in it.
Yeah, Bandana, what would you like to see for a game in this?
Bandana he had a little bit of emergency, so he had to go. So
Oh,
All right.
okay.
just to let you guys know, no big deal. We'll just keep rolling.
We're just gonna keep rolling with it. Keep rolling with it.
Yep.
But, like I said, if anybody's interested in picking up this sleeve or any other one, they can just hit Chris up at Video Game Dust Sleeves, and he will accommodate.
Does anyone have
You
a
will
suggestion?
not be disappointed.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
Oh man, come on, guys! It's got to be a pirate game.
Sid Meier's Pirates.
Assassin's Creed Rogue, I think it was.
Black
Or-
Flag.
Black Flag.
Black Flag. Yeah, there you go.
I was gonna say it has to be a Castlevania game because he loves Castlevania.
So, well, though Grant's a pirate, right? So
Yeah, I was gonna say Castlevania 3 then.
yeah,
because-
3, yeah.
Obvious.
That's the obvious answer. Yep. Castlevania 3.
Bam, nice. All right, well, we'll go on the franchise of the month next. Dan, you're up, brother.
Yep. This month, I'm picking Last of Us. Not much of a franchise because there's not that many. It's only 2 parts to it, I guess. But some offshoots and so forth. And it started on a PS3 and then it came out and it was been remastered on newer consoles. So just wondering if anybody, I'm sure people have played this game or what you guys think of it. There is a physical copy of some downloadable content that left behind that you can purchase physically. So another question to ask is, do you think downloadable content is worth sleeving? And finally, if you've been paying attention, The Last of Us is currently a TV show series on HBO Max. Curious if anybody has seen the show. So let's just go down and see what you think of the game series and then the show, and what's your thoughts on downloadable content for this game. Would you sleeve it? How about Bones? Start us off.
Okay, well, I'll stop you right there on the show. The show I have not watched any. That, I don't know. That doesn't enthuse me. I played the first one. I never played part 2. I guess it is all right. I mean, I enjoyed it. I played through it with Retro Mikey, and it was decent, but it wasn't good enough to make me jump for, oh my god, I got to play part 2. So I've never played part 2. I don't actually even own part 2. So
quick question: The Last of Us Part 1, is that remastered on the PS5?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I was just
I think it also adds some new features like permadeath, I think.
Okay, go ahead, Bone. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, you're good. That's pretty much it, though. I haven't really. I won't do the downloadable content. You guys know that. I mean, it's not that I won't, but it has to really be worth it for me to want to pay money to download something, because I'm just kind of a stickler with that. So that I'm not going to do, nor would I ever sleeve that. Like, I'm still kind of salty that there's a couple games like on PS3 that you get a paper, almost cardboardish looking fake disc inside with a code on it. There's like a Lord of the Rings game I have that's like that. So no, I would never sleeve anything like that.
All right. How about you, Dad Level?
So I did play this on the PS3, loved it. I remember a lot of my friends didn't even know what it was, so they were like shocked that I was hyped about this game, even though it's like it was a zombie apocalypse style open world, somewhat story by the same people who did Uncharted. So I was really hyped for it. I am not a fan of 2. When I found out what they did in 2, I boycotted the game because it's not right, considering the fact that what Joel does at the end of the first game was something my father would have done for me or my sister. And to do what they did to him in the second one, I was not on board with it at all. But just to note from something that Bones was talking about, any of the newer remasters has the DLC part of the package. So you wouldn't have to worry about, buying the DLC physical when you can get it in the collection.
How about the TV show?
TV show, I have not watched yet, but I was waiting for everything to be finished, and it finished not too long ago, so I'm going to work my way through it this next 2 weeks.
All right, sounds good. Bargain Bin, how about you in The Last of Us?
I honestly kind of don't really have strong opinions for it. Like, I played the first one up to the part, excuse me, when you start swimming, but I kind of fell off after that and never got back into it, and then I sold my copy, and then it's just like really emotional, and I just kind of got too depressed by it, especially at the very beginning, right? Like I won't say what happens because I don't want to spoil it and hadn't played it, but no, I really just didn't really get into it. And then the TV show, I don't have HBO Max, so I couldn't even if I wanted to.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think I haven't played it all the way through myself. I haven't played part 2, but what Dad Level said about it makes me want to curious to check it out because it sounds like it's controversial. Yeah. And finally, Chris, I'm curious if you own it. Are you interested in a TV show? And a question for you is: has anybody ever asked you to download or to sleeve something like downloadable content?
The answer to the question about the sleeves, yes, I actually did sleeve downloadable content that there was no physical at all. It was actually 2 sleeves. The reason why she asked for them was because she didn't have a way of displaying it on her shelf, knowing that she has the game. So that was the best way of doing it. Getting an empty case, putting a sleeve on it, and now you know you got a downloadable game.
Yeah.
It's it's physically in your inventory now, because like when you look on a shelf, it's like, okay, well now it might be a downloaded game, but I have something to represent that I have that game, instead of maybe later purchasing the physical when you don't need to. Some people don't want to double dip,
Yeah.
That's a lot of like sleeves for games that you don't have.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of makes sense in a way.
It does.
Yeah.
Or you can go to another route, just print an insert and put it inside of a case.
Mm-hmm.
That works too.
As for the sleeving DLC, unless it's like one of my favorite games ever, no.
This DLC, it came out on physical, Dan, or is that just
I don't think it's physical. I think it is either a voucher or something along the lines of I think
It was only downloadable only, and then as far as I know, it was packed in with the remaster and then the remake they did for the PS5. And
so this case is just a BS case? Somebody just made it from online or something?
probably, yeah.
yeah.
Something that you could sleeve, right?
I mean, yeah, like I said, or somebody can just make the insert and put it inside the
Yeah.
case and put it on the shelf just to say they have it.
Yeah.
Just to keep a reminder that they have it. That's the only thing I could think of it would be useful for.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, I mean, obviously inventory in a phone, that's another way of keeping track. But
I should
some
do that
people
here.
want something physical, and that's the only way keeping of something physical is by, having either a sleeve or an insert and putting it on the shelf. So I would definitely consider that if I did download games.
For those of us who buy a lot of digital games, like on the Switch or something, it does get hard to keep track of if you've bought a game before or if you have it or not.
Really
Dave's
bad.
back.
Hey, Bandana.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
back.
I hope everything's good.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem.
My bad.
No problem.
Did y'all pause the podcast?
No, we did not. We kept rolling.
Oh, okay. So we're still going.
We're still going. Yes, we are. We are live.
Okay, yeah, and because we're live, I had to run and save a cat from a fire
Oh,
started by terrorists, and the president gave me a medal, and
Wow, you're not fast then.
hey man,
all right. So this is what we're gonna do, Bandana. We're gonna backtrack a little bit. We're gonna go back to logo sleeve of the month.
ooh, that's a pretty one.
What game would you want in your logo sleeve? We already made up one for you, but we want to hear what you got to say.
Oh my gosh, what did I put in that logo sleeve? Because I have one of those because they're so beautiful. And I mean, then I have, you know what? That is a sleeve.
We want to know if we're gonna.
Okay, that is a sleeve of the highest quality. I mean, that is one of the most beautiful sleeves ever made. Like the heavens parted and that amazing thing was made. And I'm gonna say that's a sleeve that's as good as gold. So that's gonna get the Legend of Zelda.
Okay, good. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So what do you think we thought? Because it obviously wasn't that one.
What would y'all have thought for me?
It's considering it's a pirate.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm looking at what's that? Oh my! Oh, I just hurt myself because of the cord on my headset, and I stood up. My headset did not stand up.
Oh,
hold
ouch.
on. What is it on? What is that game? Oh my gosh. Skull and Crossbones.
That would have been a good one actually, but no, that wasn't it.
That
I
was
mean,
a good one.
I have a attention sleeve for that one.
Right?
Yeah, I have no idea what did you find gentlemen pick to go in that sleeve?
Go ahead, Dan, since you're the one that kind of like considered
Well,
it.
we know you're a big Castlevania fan, so we picked
Okay.
Castlevania 3
Oh, that is my favorite.
because it features a pirate, Grant.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good solid pick, and that like shows some real understanding of who I am.
You're welcome.
So yeah.
And
all right.
yeah, while we have you here, do you want to comment on Last of Us,
Yep.
the franchise of the month? Do you like it? Do you play it? The TV show? Do you watch it? And would you ever sleeve downloadable content such as what's featured for this series?
That is a lot of question, and I feel like the funniest thing is like I can just go no.
Yeah, you can really just go no.
And it is not like any like rejection of the series. I've just never played it. It's in the backlog.
All right, Bandana. Since you didn't play it, what about the HBO Max special?
See, I want to watch it
But you can't, right? Because you got to play the video game.
because
I got you.
play the game.
I got you.
Pedro Pascal is awesome. Really, his hosting of Saturday Night Live puts him over the top. But on top of that, he did a really cool Mario Kart sketch on SNL. So yeah, it is a series I want to watch. It is a game I want to get to.
But you don't want to watch the series until you play the game, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. I completely understand that.
And then sleeving downloadable content. I don't know how to do that. Are we moving into NFTs now? Is that
You get a
we
virtual copy of the sleeve, and then you just put it in there virtually.
totally? And you have like a super complicated, unnecessary code behind it that means that you own it and no one else does, even if it's just an image. Okay, cool. Yeah, go with that.
All right, so Dan introducing a new segment to the podcast, which is Guess the Year. Dan?
Yeah, yet another segment to add to the podcast to make it even longer. I'll randomly. I thought this is an idea that came to my head just to randomly stick something in here from time to time. Yeah, straightforward. Just guess what year all these events or games came out. I'll run through them real quick, and then I'll pick somebody to guess, and then we'll go around and say higher or lower, and then see how that works out. So this year in particular, Nintendo introduced the Play It Loud Game Boy series, which is the Game Boy is in a bunch of different colors. If you go to the arcade, you might play the game Alpine Racer. Some of the notable games that came out that year include Virtual Fighter 2 for the Sega Saturn, Earthbound for the Super Nintendo, Lunar for the Sega CD, Garfield for the Game Gear, and Wolfenstein 3D for the 3DO. So those are some of the games that came out that year. Let's see. I actually have a die. I'm gonna roll real quick to see who goes first. 1, 2, 3. Dad level. So you get the first guess.
94.
Okay. Bargain bin. Do you think it's higher?
93.
Okay. And then Chris.
I'm not gonna go because I
You're not gonna
already know what this is.
You know what this is. Oh, okay. Bandana. You got 94, 93. You can go higher or lower.
If memory serves correctly, the Sega Saturn came out in 95, so Virtua Fighter 1 would have been, I'm going to say 96.
All right, and Bones.
I'll just go with 95 then.
Bones is the winner.
Yes.
Yes, 1995.
Nice, good job.
Only reason why I didn't guess is because we previously talked about this, Dan, and once you said what you said about this guess the year, I already knew what it was when we talked earlier.
And there's a reason why I picked this year.
And this is why I know what it is. Go ahead.
Yes. Because 1995 is also the year that the Sony PlayStation came out, and that will be our next podcast, console podcast, covering the PlayStation 1. So that's why I picked 1995. 1995 is an interesting year because Sega was making games for all their consoles still at this point. They're making for Genesis, Sega CD, 32X, Game Gear, and Saturn. So you had 5 consoles to choose from.
Well, I mean, they launched Virtua Fighter 2 the same year as... That's crazy. That, like, Virtua Fighter Remix, and Virtua Fighter 2 all had to come out at, like, the same exact time.
Back to back.
Back to back. Like, not like year back to back. Like,
No, literally back to back.
Yeah, Virtua Fighter 1 was a packing game for me. So probably I think later that year, that Christmas, I think they brought out Virtua Fighter 2.
Yeah, then they had that, was it the 3-pack or whatever that you got with it at one point, where you had like Daytona USA,
Right.
that Virtual Cop.
Yeah, that's when they were really trying their last, like, hey, y'all should buy one of these. We've dropped the price $100 and given you 3 games now. Please like us. Please?
Of course.
Please?
Not produce enough Panzer Dragoon Saga so people can play it.
And incidentally, 1995 was also the year that Virtual Boy came out and was also canceled. So I didn't put that on it because
What did it say? Oh my god, to get canceled in 1995. Wow.
I didn't put it on here because I felt like that would be too easy. Everybody would know that 1995 was the one appearance of the Virtual Boy, but that's also a major event that happened that year. So
It was also a year I turned 1.
Thanks for making me feel old.
I was 14, so
Quick check on cussing on the podcast. Quick check. Is that allowed?
Yes.
Just to put that in perspective, that's the year you were turned 1. That's the year I graduated from college. So.
So, let's just make this clear too. Had you put in like a certain game title that came out this same year, I probably would have guessed, and that's Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, so I tried not to put something that everybody would know to make it too easy, but yeah, I thought Earthbound might be give it away, or a Saturn game probably I thought would give it away as Bandana was picking up on it. Yeah, but anyhow, that's it for Guess That Year, and then we'll move on to the actual topic of the podcast now.
Yes. Today's podcast is brought to you by Bargain Bin Hobo.
And the letters fuck you. No.
wow.
Wow, that was so meant to be. That was so meant to be in my head.
Yeah, it didn't stay there.
Yes.
It did not stay there.
That's just because he's an infant. That's just because he's an infant. That's all. There's no like underlining animosity other than the fact I fear the Reaper. That is.
Oh man.
You guys live longer than we do.
Yeah.
I think I'm the youngest in here, actually.
You are.
Yeah.
By
like
far.
by
Like
mile.
decades.
Yeah.
I turned 29 in September.
Thanks.
I feel uncomfortable talking to you at this late time of night. I'm pretty sure you need to get your rest, sir. Did you have a good nap today?
Did you have a good nap today, old man?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting some. Okay.
Now we're going to the topic. It's called "Do You Believe in Modding?"
Shots fired.
Thanks again, Bargain Bin, for coming up with a topic. We got 10 questions to get through, so let's get started. 1. Do you own any modded systems? If so, which ones and what mods do they have? Bandana.
I mean, the most flagrant mods is 8-bit glitch 79. Just modded me to Game Boy. He modded me a Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Pocket and put a really nice screen in both of those and backlight and all that. Now my question, looking around my game room, is like, does cutting the plastic tabs out of your Super Nintendo count as a mod?
That's a question later.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
yeah, it's considered a mod.
So I guess I have those three, and then the Sega Saturn has the Action Replay, which isn't a mod but acts like a mod chip. So let's say 3.5.
Yeah. Bones.
Yes, I do have some modded systems. I have a Atomic Purple Game Boy that I bought the whole screen mod and everything for it, which I did. My Game Gear, same deal. I did the whole screen mod and replaced a bunch of shit in that. The only other thing, I do have the same thing like Bandana with the Action Replay for Saturn, but I do have my Mega Drive is modded with toggle switches so that I can play PAL and NTSC differences on it. It still is a little finicky, but it does work. I finally got it this past year to actually work properly. So that was a good achievement, but those are pretty much the only ones I own as far as modded systems go.
That level.
Do you count the mini systems as being modded as a system?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have all the the mini consoles modded, each one. My PSP is modded, so I can play stuff. So I did the whole
Pandora's box.
battery mod to it, to where you can play anything on it. That's about it.
Dan.
Yeah, all my handhelds, I have all the Game Boys. I think I bought a modded version of it with the screen upgrades and stuff. My Sega Saturn, I modded to play with a region switch, and also to play burned games. So that one is modded. My Dreamcast is modded. I took the optical drive out and replaced that so you can play games off a hard drive. And I believe, thanks to Bargain Bin, I have a modded Game Gear with a screen upgrade. So those are pretty much my modded systems.
And Bargain Bin.
I've got a handful. I have a modded Saturn that has the mode mod, like with DanCav's Dreamcast. It's the same thing. It doesn't have a disc drive in favor of a SD card. I have a modded original Xbox and GameCube, so those can play games off the hard drive and play like multi-region games. I also have a modded 3DS, just to put some extra programs on it. And as of a couple days ago, I have a modded N64 that is now region-free. And there might be others that I'm forgetting, because I have modded a fair few systems. Well, I didn't mod them myself, but yes, I do own a couple modded systems, yes.
All right, so we're going to throw question 2 out the window because everybody owns a modded system.
Sounds good.
All right, next question 3. Do you have the tech know-how to mod? Would you want to learn if you don't? Bargain Bin.
Unless the mod is, if it's a software mod and it's completely idiot-proof, then heck yeah. I mean, my Xbox mod would just, you just put a special thing in the Xbox that's like, it's a special program, and then you put a copy of Splinter Cell in it, and then you load that file, and then boom, you can mod your Xbox that way. But if it requires like soldering and like opening up the system, I will probably break it because I'm such a total ham-fisted guy. So no, only if it's extremely easy.
Dan.
My soldering skills are very minimal, but I have done the Dreamcast mod involved soldering, and I was able to do that myself. But the handhelds, I usually bought those, so I prefer to buy them or have somebody else do them if possible. I forgot to mention my arcade cabinets. I did mod a lot of my like arcade 1-up or the At Games Legends with new joysticks and that sort of thing, and that involves some wiring but not soldering. So yeah, I'm better with the arcade cabinet. I do a lot more mods with that actually than the actual consoles.
That level.
I think my first mod would have been back 2000 on my Game Boy Color. I went in and we sold, when I worked at Game Crazy, they sold like these mods where you could do the front light. So you had a light was lit up, it plugged into the back of the battery port and everything. And that's one of the first ones I've done. But yeah, I don't mind. I do have some technical know-how on doing that because I do computer stuff for a living, but there's some things I don't know, but it doesn't scare me from trying.
Bones.
I mean, I have some tech know-how with it. I'm not scared either at all about soldering. I'm actually pretty decent at it. I've done both of my mods myself, and the Game Gear one was definitely a lot more tedious. There was a lot more wires that had to be soldered on everywhere. The Game Boy one wasn't quite as bad. Still, there was a bunch of soldering. The more you do it, just like anything else, you get better at it. But I've done a lot of cap replacements and just battery replacements and stuff on game boards from like the NES to Genesis, stupid things like that with batteries. So I've gotten pretty good at modding and just maintaining for the most part. But it's definitely, it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy because it can be frustrating and a bit of a pain in the ass.
And Bandana.
Oh, I mean, there are 2 less Game Boy Pockets in this world because but I've also done some very light soldering. Like, I wouldn't count it a mod, but I replaced a speaker in like a Game Color, which required some soldering. So I generally want to give it a whirl. But yeah, it depends on like. How risky it is and how much does it cut the cost down for me to do it versus someone else doing it. Like 8-bit glitch is really cheap and easy.
Poor 8-bit's not here to defend himself. That's twice.
Oh,
Warn him out there. Jeez.
I'll text him and make sure he knows I've insulted his honor.
Hopefully get more business.
So,
all right, next question. 4. Do you believe modded systems should be worth more money? Why or why not? Bandana.
all right, I'm yawning. Do I believe? Sure. I mean, there's more stuff in them, and more stuff is more money, right? More money, more problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it makes sense on a logical level.
Bones.
Well, as someone who's done modding, it definitely should be charged for doing that service. Just like anything else in this world, what should the charge be for doing it? I'm no one to truly judge that. There are mods that I know are out there that are very tedious and not easy whatsoever. Like the N64, the HDMI mod that they have for that, the Ultra, I think it is. That looks pretty tough to get done on the system, and they charge a lot for that now. It's like I think 100 and something to have somebody do it for you, but to just buy it already pre-done is pretty expensive. Like I think they go for like close to $1,000 is what most people sell them for. So yeah, I mean it should cost more money. I don't know how steep the price should be.
That level.
As things get more expensive with retro game collecting in general, I think that modding is a good thing for being able to have a way to play something that you wouldn't normally be able to afford. But I can understand why modding should be more expensive than it is, because as people slowly become acceptable or tolerant to modding in general, because you have this whole elitist attitude with some people in the retro gaming community about modding. We should be more welcoming about it, so that way, it's all about gaming and having fun. So I know this really has nothing to do with the question, but I do think they should be worth more, because the more you pay, the better quality you're going to get.
Usually.
Well, you should be.
Dan.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that point. I mean, I think, and you touched on I think about the elitist. Like, I think some people would say that, oh, you messed up your system inside, so it's not worth as much. It's not the original hardware. It's not original, so it's worthless now or something. That's a lot of collectors or elite collectors would probably say that. But I think the opposite. I mean, I think somebody put their time, skill, the parts, the better screens, that cost money, and so definitely in terms of materials and skill and time and labor, it definitely should cost more. And then I also agree with what Dad said about the value behind it, because you're going to play a lot more games that you didn't have before or weren't able to have access to before. So that alone, I mean, if you were to try to go out and buy all those games and try to play them on your system, you couldn't, or you would be like millions of dollars. So for that alone, having that potential to play all those games, definitely should raise the value of a modded system.
Bargain bin.
I think that yes, but it kind of depends on the complexity of the mod. Like, take for example the Super Nintendo. If all they do is like snap off the little plastic inside, I don't think that should cost anything, because I could do that myself. Just give me a pair of pliers, I'll get it done. Let's say like they put a new shell on the Super Nintendo. That's a little bit more complicated. You have to pay for the shell itself. You could potentially mess it up and break it to the point it can't be fixed, so that should cost them more. Now let's say they go whole hog. They like put in like lights in it, and they put in like an HDMI thing, and they make it a hard drive and blah blah blah. That definitely would be worth more, because the materials and like the labor, and I couldn't do that myself. So I do agree that modded systems, again depending on the mod, should be worth more. So short answer, yes, should be worth more.
Number 5, if someone held a gun to your head and said you had to mod one of your systems, which one would you mod and why? Bargain bin.
Well, I would do the PS2, because I'm planning on getting that one modded anyway.
DanCav.
I'd like to mod my GameCube to play more games. I don't have that one modded, so.
Dad level.
My Saturn.
Bones.
OG Xbox.
Bandana.
I want to know why this person is taking modding to the point that they're holding a gun against my head.
I knew somebody was going to say something. I was waiting for it.
I mean, this seems like we are skipping some levels, man. Also, why you care about my shit? What system? GameCube. An HDMI mod would be cool.
Yeah.
Question 6. What are some reasons to mod systems? Bandana.
You're alone on a Saturday night and you got nothing else to do.
Bones.
Well, I mean, for me, it's just, times change. Games can be played better. So if you can have a better screen, why not? So right there in general, just to improve the game itself, being able to play it by doing those mods to the system, and just the overall, with the way the mods are nowadays with storage devices and SD cards, you just have a much easier way to get full access to a huge library of games besides a Raspberry Pi.
That level.
So one of the big things that I would say is that as we grow with the technology and TVs and stuff, it makes it a little bit harder, because I don't know about you guys, but it is pretty hard to find a CRT in the wild, depending on if you're in a big city or not. So being able to have the ability to play your consoles on modern day HD TVs would be ideal, and the reason why I think it's okay.
DanCav.
Yeah, man, I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, all my old systems, the ones that use the old coaxial cable, I'd want to mod them to to have HDMI output to make it easy to play on today's TVs.
Bargain bin.
In some cases, you can even like bring a system back from the dead, like recapping those Game Gears when the capacitors failed, or you can, like the others have said, give you access to more games, or make it so you don't have to take out a loan for games. You just got them saved in, you're ready to go, and also play them on modern TVs. So, yeah.
All right, now the opposite of that question. What are some reasons not to mod systems? Bargain bin.
Well, if you're an elitist and you think, well, you need to play it the way the developers intended. Well, the developers intended it 30 years ago. It's not going to work the same way as it is now. So, but yeah, if you're an elitist, the only way I can think of it.
Damn.
If the system is really rare, then it's one of a kind. I'm probably less inclined to touch it or do anything crazy to it. Example would be like the Turbo Graphics or Turbo Duo or something. I wouldn't want to mod that just because I want to keep it intact.
That level.
I'm gonna make a joke with this question.
Because it's all meant to be played on the original hardware the way it was supposed to be back in like the 80s. So why mod it when you're changing the way it was supposed to be played?
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Uh-huh.
I've heard someone say that before, and I just about died. And like, we're like, in 2023. I don't know how old you are, but wake up.
Bones.
The only thing that I can really come up with for that is, as the years continue to go by, if you are somebody who does like the original, true, authentic way to do it, it's going to slowly get harder and harder to do that as more and more things get modded and changed, depending on the change. I mean, let's be honest here. Who the hell wants to play on a shit screen on a handheld when you can upgrade them? I don't know anybody that's going to argue with you on that aspect. But like once you start like doing some mods to some consoles, you kind of can't go backwards. So in that aspect, you're taking the supply that is there and slowly it's going to deplete, but it's going to slowly deplete on its own. I mean, in general, there's, like Dan said, unless it's like something that's really rare, there's no reason to mod that. But anything else, it's to each their own, really.
Bandana. Did we lose Bandana?
I think you had to save another cat.
Yeah, he's
there he is.
Can you hear me? Can
Yeah,
you hear me? Sorry.
I can hear you.
I may have gotten confused which mic I was using. Let's just not judge.
Never, man. Don't worry.
We've listed some good reasons. I'm just gonna go with because I don't wanna.
Good enough for me.
No,
I like that answer.
I mean, I'm with I have a I do like I wouldn't mod a variant console, like the Pikachu N64 or something. But just sometimes you don't want to put forth the effort, and so I don't wanna.
Cool.
Fair enough.
Survey says.
All right.
Just so y'all get the full effect, I did point to a non-existent game board in my office.
All right, Steve Harvey.
I'd watch it.
Thank you, Dad level.
I'd watch it
Was
too,
that a Running Man quote that you did there too, Bandana? With the survey says.
I mean,
That's
I was going with Family Feud, but if it earns me more respect in your eyes, Bones, then yes, I may.
I don't know why the Running Man movie came to my mind when you said that. I like the guy when he's
We're like everybody else.
talking about who's gonna win in the arena, like when they're sending out the guys to hunt him down. I swore he said survey says, but I could be wrong.
Richard Dawson, the original host of Family Feud, was also in the Running Man,
Yep.
as the host of that Running Man show.
All right. Okay. Well,
So-
I went on the wrong side of the ballpark there, guys. We can continue.
Okay.
No, but you're spot on. You're spot on there, Benz.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I'm not losing my mind then.
Ben Richards is your winner. It'll be all right.
All right, number 8. Some mods are software based and can be undone if desired. Other mods are hardware and cannot be undone. Knowing this, would you put off from system modding? I'm pretty sure everybody in here is going to say no, they won't put it off. They're going to do the mod. Well, all right, Bandana.
Like, are we saying if it's a one that can't be undone?
Like physically, like you do a physical mod. Like for example, the Super NES, you break off the tabs. You can't fix that. That's not something you can unless you buy a new console. So,
I guess no. I
Bones.
won't put it off.
Bones.
I mean, yeah, I'm still gonna do it. I think I did that to my Super Nintendo, if I remember correctly. I did that, and like even making it that you take off the region by desoldering something, so there's no region locked. I mean, yeah, you could put that back, I guess, but yeah, no, I would still do it.
That level.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it's like your capacitors go bad. Oh man, I'm not going to change it because it'll never get fixed, or I can never fix it. That just seems stupid because depending on the reasons for the mod could vary. So, why not? You know, it's going to be a benefit to you anyway, unless you're just going to try to resell your system later on for money. And then are you really a gamer at that point anyway?
Dan.
Like I would certain mods I wouldn't do. Like if some of them require you to like make holes in the shell and put switches in and that sort of thing. So if it irreparably damages the system, I would. And if it's a rare system, like a variant like Bandana said, then I wouldn't do it. But that is a good point. What that level said, if the system goes bad and the capacitors need to be replaced, yeah, I'm not going to say, oh, these are the original capacitors, I have to keep them in there. I would definitely fix it to get it playable.
Bargain bin.
It would put me off from doing it myself. It would not put me off from paying somebody else to do it for me, because like I said, I'm kind of a klutz. So, short answer no is if I can pay someone else to do it for me, but it would not put me off from doing it. No, that can't be undone, because it just makes it better.
Number 9. Even making small changes to systems can be considered modding, such as breaking the plastic inside the Super NES cartridge slot to allow you to play Super Famicom cartridges. Have you done the small things? Bargain bin.
Yeah, we've brought up a couple times. Like, I did snap off the plastic inside my Super Nintendo, and you know what? You have people saying, well, that will break your Super Nintendo. No, it won't. And you can't go back. You're right, you can't go back, but I want to go back. I can play Super Famicom cartridges now, and all I've done is make my system better. So, yeah, I did the small stuff, and I don't regret it.
Dan.
I actually haven't done any of those like small things. I probably could have. I don't have a problem with it. I've always just used like converter cartridges. That's just the way I've done it.
That level.
For one, I'd say that breaking the plastic sounds like a great podcast title. But honestly, I mean, some of the cosmetic things are kind of mute because you could just literally take off the shell, buy a new shell, make the modifications, or already have the modifications done on that shell, and that's a simple fix that doesn't really do anything to like those limited edition hardware systems or whatever.
Bones.
Yeah, like I said, I cut out the plastics. I mean, yeah, I don't see a problem in doing that, and I will do that. If I have to do any kind of like an alteration to make a game play, why the hell not? I mean, if you can buy an adapter to play Master System games on a Genesis, like why the hell wouldn't you? If you could do something to the console and not have to use that adapter, well, why the hell wouldn't you? You know? So yeah, I would do the small changes.
And Bandana.
I think I already answered.
Yeah,
this
you
question.
did. All right, number 10. Would you buy a system you did not own if you knew it was modded. Why or why not? Bandana?
Do I want the modded version of the system, or do I just want the system?
Right.
What is the hypothetical here? What is my
hypothetical? Like, let's say you don't. I will say a 3DO, for example. If you don't have a 3DO, would you want a 3DO that was? I guess it's kind of, would you want the modded 3DO that was already modded, or
Or
would
the
you get a
original.
regular 3DO and
Right.
mod it yourself?
Right.
I want to slap the alternate universe version of me that wants a 3DO. I mean, fuck that guy too.
Only Bandana fucks himself off.
I was thinking that.
I'm a very pretty man. I mean, I guess to me, if like I needed it, I mean, sure. Let's just go with yes, and the why is, I mean, I can't come up with a good reason to just say no. I mean, if it was more expensive, I would probably just go with the unmodded one, just because, I mean, yeah. So go, yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that. Bones.
Well, I mean, this is kind of tough because, yeah, I would still buy it, but I really don't. I mean, because I'm not in the handhelds much, I only have the ones that are modded. But since I'm more in the console-based, I would not buy one modded before I'd have an original one that's not modded. That's just my collecting habits. So I already have to have one in order for me to buy a modded one. So that's the only stipulation to that question.
That level.
I mean, if it's going to benefit me in a way, maybe that I don't have to buy a bunch of games for it because it has the optical drive mod where I can put an SD card into it. Sure. I mean, I don't really see a pro and con on why you wouldn't want to or not buy a modded system. I mean, because if you're looking for it, you're already looking for it.
DanCav.
I guess it would depend on the mod of it. It's something that I would want to do anyways. I would, I would want to buy this system modded if possible. But if I didn't own the system already, I probably would want an original system.
And Bargain Bin.
I think it would kind of depend on the system. Like, for example, if I were to buy another Game Gear, I would just skip the modding process, just buy one that was already modded. Because once you get that McWell screen on your Game Gear, there's no going back. You're never going back to that original screen if you can help it. So it depends on the situation, but largely, if I want that mod, I would just buy the ones already modded. So short answer, depends, but largely yes.
All right. That concludes that podcast. Thanks again, Bargain Bin.
You're welcome.
On to the last segment, Game of the Month. Bandana. What's your game of the month?
Let's say I'm gonna look at. I've been doing a lot of Saturn collecting lately, and I'm gonna go with Shining Force 3.
Bones.
Well, I'm going to go outside the box since everybody was bashing on it. Since I own it, we're going to go Wolfenstein on the 3DO, even though it's not that great. We're going to go with that.
I didn't bash Wolfenstein.
He bashed the console.
The entire
The entirety.
because it's a shitty platform. It's not my fault that Bones has terrible taste.
Hence, you're bashing Wolfenstein.
Except when he agrees with me. It's not my fault.
It's so sad. I bought Doom and Wolfenstein solely just to have that console, and that's it. I don't care about anything else on it.
That level.
Metroid Fusion.
DanCav.
I'll say Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Ooh, oh, nice.
Bargain Bin.
I would say Dragon Quest VIII Journey of the Cursed King 3DS Remake.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys
Thanks,
for
everybody.
coming on.
Yes.
Thanks again, Bargain Bin,
Yeah.
for the
You're
topic.
welcome. I got some Arby's waiting for me.
Go eat.
Well,
Yeah. Please like, comment, and subscribe. As always, don't blow, just leave. Later.
Later.
Peace.
Yeah.
This
Apparently
having. Go ahead.
So my for his graduation present, I asked for a new computer. So my dad gave me a gaming laptop, and then he got one for himself too, the same one. And apparently his battery went out on it, and I think mine might be starting to go too. And this thing is only a couple years old, so computers, what can I say?
They're not made to last a lifetime. That's for sure.
I expect it to last more.
It's
than a year
usually
and a half, at least.
usually about 2 years, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Let's
And then
do
again,
it.
I've had my gaming computer for longer than that, since like 2019, and here we are 2023. It's loud as hell, but it's still running.
Let's do a quick sound check.
What?
Hey, hey, Bandana.
Oh, bandana! Holy crap! Oh, oh, he's
Oh,
gone.
he went. You know, he went to the hangout area probably because he doesn't want to do this one. He wants to do the next one.
Okay. Bummer.
Hey, all right, let's do a sound check. Bones,
Yo.
dad level.
I'm here.
Dan,
Hey, what's up?
bargain bin.
Hey.
Hey, Bandana, are you joining this?
What the heck?
All right, Bandana, sound check.
What do you want now?
Sound check.
You're not my real dad.
Okay.
Okay?
Hey, it's sound
Stop
check,
it.
not temper check.
Stop it.
I hope you're doing well, sir. It's been a while.
Hey,
Yeah, it's
Dad,
been a
what's
while.
up,
How you
man?
been?
Not much, man.
I'm pretty good, guy.